And we're live. Hello, everyone. Hi,
Hi,
Karina. How are you?
how we doing? Wait, is there a delay on my end? Nope, I think it's all good.
I probably need to. Oh, here we go. Yeah, it's all happening now. It's all happening. Well, you guys, welcome back. I knew that I said that I was gonna come back pretty much straight away, but then we got chatting and talking, and then
It always happens though.
Yeah, exactly. 2 cups of coffee later and some biscuits. I was eating biscuits, chocolate biscuits,
I was
and you
having
were
um,
drinking coffee.
I was having these things. Oh God, I just ripped the whole packet. That's lovely. Hundreds and thousand one. I was craving this.
Oh, yes. Yes, yum. I love those ones from
I was,
Aldi.
they're not bad. Yeah, from it's actually not bad. I know the jam
Yeah,
ones from
no,
Aldi are really good too.
I
Hello,
love those ones.
everyone.
Hello, my dear. How are you? Avalon, we were actually talking about you as well in our briefing
Yeah.
before we jumped on live. We were talking about you and your gorgeous deck, and we were talking about your latest Bonestone Bash, and I was just dying. I'm so excited, my love. Hello, Eva. Welcome.
Hello, hello.
Welcome, welcome.
I'm trying to see where's. Hold on. It's so long. I haven't done this for so long. You know, when it's just like, oh my god, wait, how do we do this again?
I
It's that
know, that's the
right.
thing.
Everything there, yeah, everything looks there.
We we've got a few good topics that we're going to talk about tonight. Hello, Native Witch, welcome.
Hello.
We've got some ones that I've been wanting to talk about. We've got some ones that Elder has been wanting to talk about. We're going to talk about some witchy current affairs. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I'm sure you will get the picture. Um, and you guys are obviously always more than welcome to ask away in the chat. We love to get a discussion going. We love people to ask us questions.
Mm-hmm.
Elder's got a few decks that he's been unwrapping this afternoon, so we might be able to have a look at a few new decks. We
Yeah.
might pull some cards at the end. So let's do it. Typical Southern Witchy chat. We haven't done it in ages, so
I know. My god, I know that needs to come back at some point next week. I think we'll get back onto that.
yes,
Noah,
absolutely.
hello, Noah.
Hello, my dear friend Noah. How are you? Haven't spoken to you in ages. I haven't spoken to anyone in ages, which is one of the topics that I wanna touch on. I guess we'll get straight into it. One of the topics that I wanted to talk about was, how to deal with like a disconnect in not only your practice, but for us YouTubers who have been on here, for a little while.
Mhm.
Part of my practice is talking and sharing with people on YouTube. And when you have a disconnect not only from your spiritual practice but also from YouTube, the two tend to go hand in hand almost. And I feel like that's definitely been the case for me personally, um, for the last 2 months at least. I mean, the last probably 6 months, generally speaking, I mean, and Elder, and most people who are watching know as well, have been, pretty full on for me spiritually with, Odin showing up,
Yeah.
and, doing a lot of shadow work and, getting down to the nitty gritty with Varna and Alvine when we went off to the island, and, working through that, and then to kind of go from hello random, much love.
Random.
um
Missed her face because I haven't had no
I
internet on.
know.
I've missed everyone's
um,
lives. So I have to like catch up at some point over this weekend and sit there and just watch them all. So that is a thing.
I was watching Random and Joey's live the other night, and I was lurking. I was a lurker, I will admit, Random. I was lurking. It was late and I was in bed, and I was just listening to you guys talking, and I wasn't gonna, comment. I think I maybe threw a few comments out there, but I was lurking a little bit, I will admit. Um but no, it is good. But I'm the same, I have to catch up on most of the lives now. But like I said in my earlier video, getting my schedule sorted and my routine, hoping to get back into it, I think.
Yep.
And that's one of the ways for me, sharing the stuff with you, sharing my past, sharing my craft, sharing my, what I'm doing, in terms of like witchiness is part of it. It's become part of my craft just because I've been, doing YouTube for, so long now, a few years now. It's as my path has evolved, so has my YouTube channel, and so is sharing, all of this stuff with you guys. So when I don't get to share, and when I do feel this disconnect just purely because of, what's been happening in everyday life, in mundane life, it's been hard. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about and get your opinion on too is like, what are some good ways for us to reconnect and to tap back into it, if that makes sense. I'd love to hear what people think in the chat as well.
Well, I don't know. Shall I start? I guess. I think I suppose I can start with the spiritual first. So, as everyone probably knows now, we've just moved out of was a toxic environment. I'm just going to call it that. Moved out of a toxic environment, and there was no ability to grow, or really, there was a bit of a struggle to connect a bit with, I suppose you can call the universe. So we moved. So the last 3 weeks, Jason and I had obviously packed an entire 2-bedroom unit full of stock and all the things you can imagine. So we have a shed now, which has got all of the boxes that are stacked up neatly with like arts and crafts and everything ready to go. I'm like, perfect. That can be outside of the house. Let's keep the house nice and clean. But we moved, and I think I noticed since I've moved into this place, every day, without a doubt, I've been either slowly just doing little witchy things here and there to sort of get me back into that routine. So I started to just, I noticed, because also the change in weather a little bit, I've started to actually enjoy sunlight a little bit more, when usually I'm not really much of a sun person. So our bedroom, because we've got this nice floor length, floor to ceiling window, the sun just comes straight in, and it's so beautiful when it's like, midday, and you've got this nice sun that comes through, and it's warm, it's not too cold. And I will sit there, and I've got my little altar that I've been working at, and I'll do some meditations, or I'll pull some cards out, and I'll just reconnect with that energy. What else have I done? Like, so I've been doing that a little bit more. I've been, connecting, really going back to, okay, maybe light some incense every day, light some candles. Good evening, Matt. So, we've just started to really get back into that sort of routine of just really connecting a little bit more. Especially with myself, being able to now create more in a bigger space. So I will, the last few days, besides having a few clients, being able to sit down and actually write out some recipes and create new products, and just enjoy being in an energy that is more positive and uplifting rather than negative. So every day, like I've been connecting a bit more with using some daily cards, maybe some daily affirmations, cleaning. The other thing, physical wise, I have, like, mopping my floors and vacuuming and, energetically cleansing my space. Also physically cleansing the space, I've found is like a nice routine too. So it gets me into this connection with the self and how to just, to reconnect a bit more. What else have we been doing? Dietary. I mean, besides having a few biscuits tonight, dietary is another one too. So we've been eating a lot more fruits and vegetables, and really, for myself, I'm trying to also cut back a lot of meat because I'm allergic to meat. So finding that also connecting with the self now and honoring what's going on energetically with myself, really just working with all aspects, so physical, mental, and spiritual. So I'm bringing them all together to sort of get that balance. But little things that you could do, definitely, like, if you can connect with nature, like I have, like I'll go outside and connect with the grass or with the trees itself and feel the energy. Sitting outside itself in sunlight, like, drawing in the sun. We always forget that, a lot of Wiccans or witches always just draw in the moon, but you can also draw in the one source that's, out for 12 hours a day, which is the sun. Connecting with that energy, you need to draw in that energy and have that that boost, I suppose you can call it. So that's what I found, like I said, because I've been, again, being disconnected for a period of time where, especially moving, it throws the whole thing out of balance. So that was a bit of a struggle because it took me a good week to sort of settle in and redo things and reconnect again with the shrines and all that sort of stuff. In regards to, like, YouTube land, so I've had no internet. Goddamn Mercury retrograde. So I only just got internet back in the last 48 hours. So that everyone knows that, and Matt, because I know you're still listening in, and Karina, I know you're there as well. And you guys know that we had no internet. TPG are absolutely shocking. Just want to put that out there. Shocking with their customer service, and shocking with their connection. Like, I kid you not, I was to the point of, like, going to get my lawyer involved if I had to. Like, that's how, like, I was pushed to that point. So internet was not a thing. So again, that was a disconnect also with everyone. So, I was lucky enough and luckily the internet came back right before I just finished my actual internet on my phone. So, do you know what I mean? So I was like, thank God internet's back in the house now. I don't have to worry about being overcharged for more things or anything. And finally being able to respond to people's messages, emails, I don't know, bills that I was like, where did this bill come from? Like, because I've had no internet to see it, it's just popped up. So that disconnecting with the YouTube land, I'm thinking to myself, I need to get back to doing more videos. I need to get back to actually doing more live chats. So I did 2 today, briefly, like just a real quick sort of chat, because I thought people have missed us doing this and connecting, and they're really having conversation about, topics and as we discussed before, this is the community that we need right now, that needs to be, I suppose you can say, really bonding together, because there is a lot of crazy drama going along everywhere. But, just being able to stick together and actually build that community back, I think is really important. And I think I mentioned that to Avalon too, when I messaged her, that, we need to bring more new faces to the community. We need to bring more people to come out and actually be good, what do you call it? I think it's like representations of the community itself, because not everyone is nasty and not everyone is also good either. So it's like we need someone's like that, a real balance between both, and bringing that sort of energy back. So Anyways, I'm rambling now, but hopefully that made sense. So disconnect definitely, like, spiritually has been a thing. I also notice every time it's been Mercury retrograde, I don't know if it happens to anyone else, but I feel like I disconnect a lot from this sort of stuff, like oracle cards a little bit, and I feel like that communication is slightly lost. I don't know if it's a thing
I'm
for
trying to
anyone.
think back to last um Mercury retrograde. When would it would have been, what, last December before Christmas?
No, we had a Mercury retrograde, I think, beginning of this year almost.
Yeah, around that time.
I think it was around,
It
yeah,
was actually, it would have been after Christmas
yeah,
or
just,
something around that time. Absolutely.
and yeah, and I
Okay, I
noticed
can't remember.
because
I
Jake,
can't remember. See, this is the thing though. Was it Mercury retrograde, or was it because we were so busy with Christmas and New Year's?
no, I think it'd be Mercury. Look, I mean, Mercury retrograde's a shocking thing. In
Mm.
a way, technology-wise, it's shocking, but it's just been. I've noticed this time around. I think it was also the other planets were in retrograde. Um, it just energetically, it was a bit up and down. It wasn't uh, just technology-wise. It's also things like a bit of communication. Like I said, I noticed I not struggled. I felt like I was just disconnected from even using cards at some point, or just slight disconnection with I think psychic ability, if that makes sense. It's not like,
Mm.
oh my god, I've lost it. It's like you're sort of second guessing when usually don't. So it's trying to keep that balance at the same time. When even like doing readings and stuff, I'll try and minimize the amount of readings I'll have during that time, just so I can rebalance myself a bit. Um, so I don't know if anyone else goes through that same thing or has had that similar experience, but Jason and I like noticed that we're like, have you noticed we haven't really drawn to any oracle cards, or have we like it just was not a thing? Like usually we would pull out decks of cards and
Mm.
uh, but yeah, lately it's just been like he even said like I haven't been drawn to my tarot cards. I'm like, well, I haven't been drawn to this either. It's just been this slight disconnect.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
and again, that
But reading through the chat, like I've been reading that, like a lot of people as well have, you know, had a disconnect, and I'm not saying that a disconnect is a bad thing.
yeah,
I absolutely feel like sometimes we actually need a disconnect, because obviously some things need to take priority in your life,
hmm,
and I'm someone who's comfortable enough in my spirituality to know that I don't necessarily need to have a daily practice.
yeah,
I feel like a daily practice is something that's like it's almost like overexposed. Like a lot of people talk about having a daily practice and what can you do daily. In saying that as well, I have actually been thinking of ways that I can, start to reconnect. And I was thinking, maybe I could draw a daily card. Like I've never done that before. Like it's not something that I've ever done. So I'm like, well, maybe I can draw, like a card a day. Like that, wouldn't be so bad. Like that would be, fun. It would be cool. Get to, work with the cards more. But I feel like sometimes, and Avalon is just saying, sometimes you just
reset.
simply need a break. Um,
Yeah, I
it's
agree with
while
that
you're,
too. Sometimes if you're always on like that uh, routine, you know,
mm,
sometimes we can look at, yeah, maybe the retrogrades are a holiday to disconnect a little bit,
mm,
and also maybe reevaluate too the way that you do things, and maybe you want to change your routine, or connect with something else rather than just the same old sort of thing. And I mean, look, a daily practice, you don't have to, and this is relation to I mean anything, but also like with witchcraft, you don't have to do elaborate rituals every single day. Like that's just not a thing. You can, even like I said, even if you're just lighting a stick of incense at your shrine and just connecting, even for that 5 minutes with your and centering yourself is more than enough. Do you know what I mean?
mm,
I think it's just there's a lot of it's mixed feelings about that sort of thing. And
Mm.
people are saying like, oh no, but you have to do this and you have to do it this way. It's like, well, no, actually you don't. You can do whatever feels right for you. So if you don't feel comfortable doing something, then don't do it. You know what I mean?
One thing that I have always done, and one thing that for me has held, true and helpful whenever I have, one of these, disconnects, because it's not the first time it's happened. Life gets in the way sometimes, and you just simply get too busy. One, I'm always able to form some kind of reconnection at the altar.
Yep.
Every single time. It's like a saying, when in doubt, altar. Like that's it. I will go to my altar and I will light all the candles. I will light the incense. I will, move things around. I will clean it. I will, just fuddy-duddy around, even just flipping through, your Book of Shadows or flipping through one of your witchy books, something like that. You don't necessarily have to do a ritual at the altar, but just coming to the altar and lighting those candles and getting that energy flowing around the altar always without a doubt works for me. Whether it works for other people, is something else. But I find that every single time that I have this disconnect, I will always just go sit in front of my altar, light the candles, and just get back in touch with it. Because yeah, as Avalon said, resetting the altar is, the best feeling ever. And I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite things to do. And it's something that will always, get me reconnected, with those energies. But, what the altar for me is, it's a place of power. It's a place to hold all of this energy, and it's the focal point of your craft. So for me, and that's my definition of altar, yours or some of your guys in the chat's definition of altar might vary, but for me the altar is the focal point. It's the working space. It's where that energy is stored and held and represented and all of those things. It's not just a table. So to sit at it and to light the candles and get the energy on the altar flowing again almost sparks that energy and gets that energy flowing within myself too. So I don't know if that, if people in the chat have had similar experiences, or whether you've had similar experiences. I don't know.
I enjoy like doing. Ooh, there's an echo. I enjoy resetting. It's a thing where I find if I'm feeling a little bit of a disconnect, I will go and I'll literally take every item off the altar, wipe everything down, and then I will slowly place things back, but in just intuitively go with what feels right at the time. So my altar originally, when I was living in the other place, had a lot of Norse influence, which now I just went, well, now that because I've got a library now that's in this place, it's just awesome. So I've done like a full-on library, witchy
Beautiful
area. Yeah, you got to come check it out. I'm telling you. I've set up a Norse altar. I've set up, a shrine for Hecate, and I've dedicated like actual
individual spaces,
altars, that I can connect with if I need to. At the same time, though, my altar at the moment is literally a tray, a wooden tray that I work on, and it has my crystals that I've been working with, a working candle, and like really primal. Like I've gone back to real primal, and lately, because I also bought a bone set from Alfheim, I've been really connecting with bones and really working with more runic symbols and going to. It's almost shamanic, and I don't like using that term. I honestly don't. You know me about that. It's like I don't like that term but it's almost very primal sort of energy, and connecting back with nature. I noticed also with a few deities that I worked with a while back have come forward again, and they're very primal in nature. They're very much connected with nature, and so I just went, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be walking at the moment. And I mean, Odin, as you know, Odin's been a thing, and Odin's just like, well, no, I'm here. Work with me this way, rather than this way. So I went, okay, so you find your path, and you restructure your altar the way that I think you can say the soul feels. Oh, and Karina just reminded me, I also was inspired because Karina had made the Ogham set out of pegs. And I said, yeah, and I said, because I went out and I went shopping one day and I found the same pegs, and I went, oh my God, what if I would burn the Ogham set on these pegs? I'll show you. I'll go grab it. It's just
go for gold. Oh, I got it. I love it. Bones is the magic word, and trust that. Trust that from you, Avalon. I'm sure your ears pricked up as soon as the word bone.
Oh, bones are fun. I've been in the art of reading bones, and like I said, in runes. So these are the pegs, and I thought they're cute. So I actually sat there.
So cute.
I wood burned, I don't know, was it 25 runes or something like that?
Look at that.
The wood burn on around.
Yeah, I'm sure you've done a really good job.
Right, and then inscribing the word as well.
I know. They look fantastic.
So it was fun. Like, honestly, it was absolute fun, and I just went, oh my God, I love this. I'm like, I'm gonna work with them, and I do. And so, and I said thanks to Karina because she actually inspired me. She did to do it that way, and I'm like, I want something simple. I like the simplistic feel of something that it's out of pegs. Like when I first started learning runes, I had paddle pop sticks. I just with permanent marker. So you just, and this is something where you can connect with. Be creative also when you want to connect with spirit. I think too that not everything has to always be about decks of cards or even store-bought pendulums and things. Go back to real basics and connect with creating. Like I said, create out of pegs. Sat there for a couple of hours with in a secret space and did them that way. And I just went out of pegs. Why not? But same thing, like, so going back to now also working with bones. So that's something that's been different because it's, like I said, it's very much connecting to primal and elemental sort of magic rather than just your sort of traditional style of reading, and that works more also with what do you call it, connection with spirit, and if you want to develop more of your abilities too, and intuition, and it's fun. And honestly, it is fun. And the set that I've got, I keep it like away, and it's a private set that I learned to read.
Yeah.
Because also, bones are going to be also respected too. It's not just the hey everybody and get everyone to touch them either. It's
like bones everywhere at people.
And I'm sure Avalon knows about this too, because it's that energy that you want to sort of keep. That's when you work with it privately, you sort of build that connection, and it helps you connect with that ancestral sort of energy. So
one thing that I absolutely loved was in a live chat. I think it was in a Spread This Witches. I think, Avalon, correct me if I'm wrong, but was it in a Spread This Witches chat where you were bone throwing on the floor? Because I was on the floor laughing because I thought that was the most incredible thing ever.
Well, that's how traditionally they're supposed to be read. It's read as closest towards the earth. Because I've been doing a lot of research and I mean I've read shells. I usually like reading shells and and I'm building our own personal bone throwing set now too. It's like I've got like wish bones, and I've got things that I've actually collected for years.
Yeah.
I'm starting to piece it together. But bones are supposed to be technically read close towards the earth, because you're connecting with the spirits of the land and spirits of nature. And the way that they fall too, if certain bones fall on top of other bones, and how the patterns look, it's such a different way of reading. It's fun, like it's just completely different, because you go, oh well, this can also indicate this is what's going on, but then this is pointing in this direction, which indicates this is what it's just like, it's a whole nother thing. Like, it's amazing. But the energy is different too. It's very primal. Again, it's not just a, pull out some tarot cards and it's done. It's primal energy, very primal. Raven! Sorry, I just love, there's Raven. Hi!
Is she here?
Yeah, she goes, I made it.
Oh, she made it, because she just messaged me. She was like, I'm trying to get on to watch you, but it's not loading. So I just sent her a link to the video. So disregard link, Raven. Disregard link. No, the bone throwing is something that I think is just absolutely incredible, and I would love to get into it and start creating, your own kind of
Set.
And it's that creation thing as well, because I love making my own stuff. I love being creative, love doing all of that.
Well, bones, I mean, look, there's so many different ways. Like, shells are considered bones too. So I love reading. Cowrie shells are fun, and I think because I love that connection to voodoo, Santeria, hoodoo style. Bone, like, cowrie shell reading was like a very common thing that I started with. That can be fun, but then now it's like bones includes things like alligator paw and raccoon penis and vertebrae from snakes and all that sort of stuff, where you can incorporate more into a set too, in a bone throwing set.
Yeah. Rocks or trinkets or things like that. I remember Avalon doing a little bit of a show and tell of some of her items, and gorgeous. And I think it's a really cool thing, because the things that you do collect and hold on to, all these little trinkets and things, all have a different meaning to you. And then to put them all in and combine them all to create a set and a reading system, I think is like fantastic. So it's
because then you also come up with your own meanings and your own correspondences. So you might have shells that represent money instead of love or fertility, and then if that falls next to a particular other symbol, then you go, oh well, this can indicate there's growth in this area, or depending on what it is. And it's really cool, because that's where you start trusting your intuition more and going with what you're feeling and what you may see. There are so many different divination systems out there. That the bone throwing is the one, I think, is one of the most ancient ones from memory, besides your runes and stuff. But bones, because it's literally using parts from the earth, animal parts.
I think the bone throwing would be definitely up there with some of the most intuitive forms of divination. Because bones, I can imagine, and don't really come with a little white book. Because there are so many variants.
Yeah, I mean, there is, like, you can get some books on information that people that have read, that have been reading for years, and they give their experiences and what they could mean. But at the end of the day, it's really connecting with the self, spirit, and learning how to read the messages that are shown. And that's something that you could also look at, where if you're wanting to connect more with the self and with spirit, go to real primal sort of energy, connecting back with that sort of that animalistic nature, in a way, that's, do you know what I mean? So it's really about what you connect with. Really, it is about really finding, like I said, where when you have that slight disconnection or that break, finding something to sort of re-kick that into gear again. It could be something you may be drawn to, and then you know, you walk down that next path that sort of comes up.
Yeah, well, that definitely rang true for me. You know, when I started exploring, you know, into the north, you know, my path was craving something that was a little bit more primal.
Yes.
And you know, getting in touch with with the bones and with the runes and with the music. The music just really
Yep.
adds to that whole primal energy, and I found that to be absolutely fantastic, like an absolutely fantastic way to connect with that really primal energy, and just letting your mind and your body just go wherever the music, you know, wants you to go, you know, whether it be dancing, or, you know, it probably wouldn't be classified as dancing, it'd probably be classified more as movement. Giving a care in the world as to where the music's taking you, and if you want to get on the floor and roll all over the floor, roll all over the floor. If you want to get up and have your arms, you know, up everywhere, then like do it, you know.
Yep.
And that's one thing for me that really got me in touch with those primal energies, was actually just letting go and just letting the music, letting the drumming, you know, the instruments just kind of take me to like another place, like a heightened sense. Yeah, Celtic music, a very similar kind of ballpark, I think, with, you know, the traditional kind of Norse musics and the traditional kind of Celtic musics. Even you know, if we look at, and me and you always do this, if we go back to, you know, Italy.
Oh yeah.
You know, the tarantella.
Yes. Oh my God, that dance itself. You look at it, it's so shamanistic, dancing round and round in circles, and they don't stop.
And it's, you know, creating, it's that putting you, you know, the circular motion is getting you into that almost like a trance state, and, you know, increasing the speed, and then decreasing the speed, and then increasing the speed, and then, you know, it's a very trance like primal energy.
Yep.
So it's, yeah, it's I absolutely, I loved it, and I love it, and it's something that absolutely helps me to connect with those types of energies when I'm wanting to. Absolutely.
Totally. And you know, and I think this is where you know, we can look at like a lot of the folklore, and are looking at a lot of so I'm actually taking these out now. I managed to get them out.
Oh yeah.
While talking on mic, you see me just actually uninstalling my hair. So
Yeah.
I've had enough. It's been like almost a whole week. I'm like, no, it's too much now. My head's sore, so I'm like taking them out. You know, you sort of realize that going back to your roots, you know, and your lineage, and your upbringing, and really finding that, you know, for example, yes, the movement is one, and just even connecting with the self, the body, and the way that you react to music, the way that you react to that sort of energy is can be actually more, you know, powerful as well. So definitely, like, you know, this is a good, we're talking about how to connect with music, reconnect with it can be very simple things as just that movement itself, where you find yourself again, I suppose you can put it. You sort of connect again with that energy, and it can be a good thing. Like, if that makes sense, it can definitely be a really good thing, and it's an expression of the soul as well.
I think so. I think so too. Absolutely. Hi, Julie. Hello, welcome.
Oh my God, how the hell? Sorry. Don't mind me, guys. I decided to get dreads installed into my hair, and yes, I do have hair. It's quite, you know, it's long there. And I just went, from Saturday till now, I just went, okay, this is too much now. Like, it's heavy. I'm taking him out.
Yeah. Oh,
It was
excuse
a bit
me.
of fun. See, have a bit of fun.
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
what else is there? I think that's it, really. And art is another one too. So really creating, like, back to creation. Whether it be through sketching, drawing, painting, you name it, even music. Being able to create, to connect with, being creative, I think is also important.
Well, that's one of the ways that when I was first, exploring the connection that I had with Odin and, exploring the initial stages of that, doing a channeled artwork, or is that what it's called? A channeled artwork. Is that a thing?
Yep. Yes.
So doing that and not necessarily drawing the best painting in the world, but drawing what, he was giving me and what, Self was giving me, and thinking about it
Mm-hmm.
is one way that really helped me to actually connect with Odin.
Mm-hmm.
Himself, particularly because he does come in different forms.
Oh yeah.
He appears to people in different ways. So I wanted to determine which way that he would present himself
To you.
to me, because I am a very visual person.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to have a visual, not necessarily seeing to believing or whatever, but to have a visual or like a mental depiction of what I'm working with, is really important to me. And Julie, you're absolutely more than welcome to ask questions. We always love taking questions, so feel free to ask away, and we will answer in the best way that we can, I'm sure. So shoot away. So yeah, while we're waiting for Julie, that's one of the ways that I used one of the mediums, I guess, used to connect with deity in that way. But no, I definitely feel like it's the simple things sometimes to kind of wean yourself back on.
Mm-hmm.
Is a good thing. Something that I've been doing as well is using my crystals again.
Yes.
And not necessarily even using them, but just carrying them, putting them in my pocket for the day.
Mm-hmm.
Getting back into wearing my jewelry. A lot of you guys know, I'm an event coordinator, I'm in hospitality, so I find it quite hard to wear jewelry and to wear rings and to wear my necklaces and things like that. And when I say necklaces, I mean, my big chunky crystals, I love wearing my big chunky crystals around my neck. So, I find it quite hard to do that. And with the rings and things, it is quite hard too. So, especially really focusing on, on my days off, or when I've got some free time, is to, wear my jewelry and start, connecting with my jewelry again. And connecting with my crystals again. And if you guys follow me on Instagram, or if you follow I think I put it on House of Tarot, my tarot cards, just connecting with them again. I gave them all a really good, cleansing shuffle. And they've been sitting on the altar for the last couple of days, with crystals on them, just to retune them and actually reconnect, my decks.
Yep.
To back into the energies, and it's that taking it back to the altar. They're on the altar, they're retuning and reconnecting with the energies there, as am I, because especially for us readers, it's really important that your decks are not only in tune with you, but also in tune. Well, again, for me, it depends on what your definition of altar is, but for me, my altar is an extension of me, and my cards, in turn, are also an extension of me. So to have them all, within the same energy, is really, really important to me.
So Julie asks, you speak of Odin. I'm studying Greek, Roman, and Nordic mythology. Do you believe they are all one and the same, just different names? Would you like to start with that one?
Sure. I mean, principally, my if you strip, for me, if you strip, and we have talked about this before, Eldar, is that when you strip it back, deity is to me like a multifaceted diamond.
Yep.
You have a diamond, which is a very pure, a very pure form. You can look at deity as being a very pure form, with multiple faces and multiple personalities. I think that amongst the Nordic, the Greek, the Roman, the Egyptian, the Celtic, while there are similar, similar personalities or similar personas, each of them definitely do have their differences. So I wouldn't necessarily say that, for example, Zeus, who's from obviously the Greek pantheon, and Odin from the Nordic are the same. Sure, they're very similar figures in that they're both viewed as, their father figure, Zeus being the king or the ruler of the gods, Odin being the all-father, in a similar type of position. Are they the same god? I don't think so. Obviously, because they have two very distinct personalities, and you will call on them and work with them for different needs, which is why I think, yes, there are some similarities between the pantheons, between a lot of the pagan pantheons, but I think there is still very much differences between them as well. But, also in saying that, like I said, if you strip it back, for me, principally, deity, God, whatever you want to call it, energy, universe, is a multifaceted
diamond
of the same, a multi-face situation of the same type of energy, if that makes sense.
It does. Well, for me, it does. But I'm assuming that if that makes sense, Julie, if you're still listening, I agree with you on that, actually, because I do believe that the same way that all the energy, even though the energy may seem different to some, it's still connected to the same source. So
source,
I call it source, universe, divine energy, higher consciousness, whatever you want to call it. God. Some people also just call it God. The energy is the same, and especially if you look at a lot of gods and goddesses that are the same, and we call them like archetypes. So Odin being, yes, the authority, the all-father, the father of all, basically. Zeus would be very similar. Jupiter would be very similar in Roman. Then you've got is it not Osiris? Actually, no, it would be Osiris, would be the father figure in Egyptian. So, you look at all these gods and they're very much all the same energy. That's just called something differently for that culture or that time. Even if you go to like Babylonian and like Ishtar and Inanna are the same goddess. It's just the different naming. And angels, I think, fit in that same category. Not not classified as god or goddess, but that mediator between human and the spirit existence. So they are a part of that same diamond. You know, there's a bit of connection saying that Archangel Michael or Saint Michael is very much similar to Bridget, you know, the Celtic goddess, where they're saying that the archetypal energy is very similar. So it just depends on what you sort of resonate with and connect with. You know, the only slight difference I would find is saints are a little bit different, because saints were people that have been made into what's the word? Is it
Semi divine?
You know, and they've made into a divine sort of energy. But when you look at the saints, you can still call on their energy, which is still connected to the same source, to help with a particular problem, or you know, or you need some guidance. So I find that again with a lot of walking this journey as well, you'll find that whatever sits right with you at a point in time will always, you know, can also change. You know, there was a period of time where the Norse, and I've spoken about this before, the Norse were not a thing for me. I didn't resonate at all with the Norse. You could ask me something, and I'm like, I have no bloody idea. Like, I don't know. I don't connect. You know, I was very Egyptian at one point, and you know, working with a lot of Egyptian deities, and then all of a sudden, here comes Odin. You know, comes out of the shadows and appears to me, and I'm like, and who are you, and what do you want, sort of thing. And the Norse are very, I'd say they're almost cryptic in a way when working with them. Nothing's nothing's ever given to you. You have to basically, you're doing it yourself. You know, they're there watching you and guiding you, but everything has to be done yourself. And I found that, you know, working with multiple or different deities and different pantheons is important too, because you can connect with different energies, and you sort of just learn as well that everything is very much the same. So, you know, we were talking about this before off air about connecting with even, let's just say, Jesus, for example. There are some people that work with Jesus in their practice, and there's nothing wrong with that, because that energy itself is still about having compassion and love, and also, you know, calling on a being that you need guidance from. So it's not about, like I said, I don't, and there's a lot of thing at the moment where people, a lot of stigma where a lot of people say, oh, but you can't do that because, you know, you're a witch, you can't practice with this, or you can't, you know, you don't know how to work with the Norse because you don't, you know, you don't follow down to a T. And it's like, well, hold on a second. My practice is my own. It's no one else's. And my connection with spirit is also my connection, not somebody else's. So, you know, I think it's just, you'll find there's some elitists out there that are going to try and claim that there's something they're not. And then you'll find those that are very genuine in their practice that are just, you know, openly able to have conversation about this pretty much, and really say, hey, it's okay to work with whoever you're drawn to. There's another question. Does Odin and others have stars like Jupiter and astrological signs? What do you mean stars? Like star signs?
Like Jupiter itself being like a planet, like a star.
Oh, well, okay. So, well, yes. So Odin is technically, sorry, just Avalon. Assholes are everywhere. Avalon, I totally agree with you, darling. Odin is technically is Jupiter. It's the same energy. Jupiter is, you know, the father, you know, considered that energy. You know, whereas Saturn's considered like Lord of Time. So when you look at even like Pluto is ruled by like a lot of underworld energy. So you'd think of Hades, you'd think of Anubis, you think of all of those deities that connect with underworld, death energy, working, not death as in like, oh my God, everything's dying, but as in like that transition, that connection to ancestry. So when you look at the gods, you look at Jupiter. Jupiter is Zeus. It is Odin. It is the father figure. It is, you know, the planet of expansion. It's about, you know, really looking at the planets. Yes, as I get it, as in the solar system idea, but you can also look at them as the archetypal energy of how the gods were also created. So the most common one that everyone looks at is Venus and Mars, for example, and we always use those symbols on this planet as, you know, male and female. But you look at Venus, and Venus is one that is very revered throughout a lot of cultures, where the planet Venus itself was known as the morning star. And when you think about, well, who else has the same thing as the morning star? Well, I'm pretty sure the Islamic groups acknowledge the morning star, not realizing it's the planet Venus. You know, they're saying that also the way Venus moves in our solar system makes the shape of the pentacle, sorry, the pentagram. You know, you can look at Venus also being known as the morning star, which can also have connections with Lucifer. So there's all these sort of things. When you start researching and looking into it, it's like, oh, holy shit, there is a little bit more than just what's written here. There's like so much more.
Yeah.
You know? It is like, you just don't realize. So it's really like, look at the pantheons as they are and the connection of how they are, but also when you are looking at gods and goddesses, look at them as archetypal energies, that the energy may have existed at some point in this
elsewhere. Yeah,
it's no longer physically here. You know, so we can see the depictions of gods on, for example, in the pyramids of Egypt. You know, they're like 9-10 foot giants. They're not like these, you know, ordinary almost 6 foot people. They're giants. They were depicted as giant beings. So when you look at these civilizations that have depicted beings from other worlds, so to speak, they're not little people. They're massive, you know, massive beings. So it's just looking at that energy as what it can be, as an energy itself. So I'm hoping that made a lot of sense, and I'm not just rambling. Good evening, Juniper. But
well, Juniper, thank you for joining.
But yeah, and I think that's where, you know, it's interesting to see that a lot of people that they work with particular deities, and it's the same energy. It's very much similar energy. It's just called something differently. You know, it's really intriguing. Like, for example, Baba Yaga is one that people always talk about, and I think Alabine works a lot with Baba. You know, we could say that she's very much similar to La Befana in the Italian culture, the witch that flies around and gives gifts, and very much similar sort of energy of the you know, the crone sort of the crone aspect being depicted. You know, so it's really like looking at a lot of these folklores, or looking at a lot of these, and I hate the word fairy tale. You know, it has to have come from somewhere.
Yeah.
Created, you know, or you think about a lot of these TV shows that have got all these supernatural beings depicted. You know, they're not just created out of thin air. Like, I don't believe that. They've had some sort of inspiration somewhere to make that, you know. So I'm hoping that's made sense a little bit.
I think so. I think, yeah, I think, you know, at the basis of your question, Julie, you know, is there a correlation? I think there absolutely is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, and I think we can also look at, in the modern world today, think about how a lot of these older civilizations or pagan belief systems that are still around are sort of coming back. But if you look at a modern approach today, which we could call religion, okay, we look at, for example, organized religion, it's not the religion that's bad, it's just the people that are delivering the message that can be making it wrong. But for example, why not we look at, Catholicism as that the modern world today, that Mother Mary is depicted as the goddess, and Jesus or God being depicted as the God energy. And that is that balance of masculine and feminine, just in a more of a modern day approach. So when you look at the religious part of it, maybe take out the religion itself, but looking at how the beings or saints or deity, because I classify it as deity, is depicted. A lot of people turn to Jesus now, or they turn to Mother Mary, or they turn to, a particular spiritual group because they want to find some, whether it be answers or develop themselves or really connect with what's going on with them, their own growth. So, and I know, I'm just reading Matt's just written there, I hate calling it mythology. I do, and I know that's what it's classified as. But to me, it's not really myth because it's depicted on our Earth. You know what I mean? It's on the pyramids of Egypt. It is that sort of energy. Then so we go Mother Mary and Isis, very much the same mother figure. They were saying that the very first depiction though of what Isis was Yemaya, that Yemaya and Isis are this very much the same, just as Mother Mary is. We call Mother Mary now, like, Mother of God. But in a way, when you look at her, she's also the depiction of the mother of like would be all, or the motherly figure. So it is that female energy. Because Isis also goes by 10,000 names. So it's not, do you know what I mean? It's not like it's wrong. It's just, we've called it something differently. We've all done something where we've called it differently. So it's interesting when you start looking into it that there is a connection with spirit, and there's always been a connection where humans have always looked up to the skies and have always seen depictions of what, the connections of angels and gods, and all of that stuff, we can call it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, absolutely. What Julie's saying is, we all turn to what gives us peace, at the end of the day. And as long as, if more people actually, if more people turn to what gave them peace, there would be a lot more peace.
Of course. Yeah. But usually, you'll find that a lot of people that are lost, that find themselves through spirituality, some of them either turn to become real extremists and then try and throw it down everyone else's throat, or you'll get ones that are very humbled and won't really enforce what they're doing to other people, and they're trying. Do you know what I mean? Like you just see it everywhere, unfortunately, that there is that balance that still happens. I'd say at this point in time, we're at a very crucial point where there is a bit of imbalance that's happening, but there's a lot of shifts also happening. So, I had this discussion with a friend of mine. He's like, "Oh, have you not heard this? This is happening." I'm like, "There's shifts and alignments every day." I said, "There's eclipses and things that happen every day. There's things that go retrograde every day." I said, "It does not surprise me." I said that, they're saying this happened 2,000 years ago when they were saying there was a birth of this or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I said, because I work with that energy every day, you sort of get used to it. I said, what is happening now is that there's a massive shift in people, and people are turning away from organized religion to going to more spiritual lifestyle. A lot of them aren't going to church anymore because they know that they can connect with the divine source, whether it be out under a tree or even if they're sitting on a toilet for 5 minutes. Do you know what I mean? They're still finding that connection within themselves. And for people, when you look at what's going on, look what's going on in America, look what's going on here in Australia, where people have got to vote for saying yes to marriage or equality, what is going on? Do you know what I mean? Like, you look at the world going, what the hell is going on there? And it's beyond a joke now. It's like everything, you have to be careful what you say, be careful what you do, be careful, you know, things like that. It's like there are so many more things that are greater and going on in the world that could be dealt with. And we're wasting money on so much stupid, petty little things that could be dealt with very easily. So, you know, no, it's true though. It honestly is, you know, and the world, I think, is just, it's going through another shift. And, you know, as like Aleister Crowley said, we're moving into the age of Horus, which is like, you know, the next phase where we've gone through the goddess phase, which was Isis, and, you know, everything was goddess and earth worship and mother worship and very feminine energy. We're coming out of the, no, it is, that's how it's depicted. Whereas, you know, the male, we're coming out of the age of Osiris, which was very male orientated, very much God. Think of religion, organized religion, you know, the sacrificial age, that sort of thing. And now we're going to a more balanced phase where it's that energy of, you know, spirituality and the balance of masculine and feminine, and really trying to find now that, you know, that balance. And people are trying to branch out of organized systems and religion and out of their comfort zones. Well, I'm assuming they're trying to get out of their comfort zones. I've been sitting on the toilet. Oh my God. It's true though. Like, people don't, you know, people are like, oh, I don't meditate. It's like, well, hold on, you can easily sit on the toilet for 5 minutes, right? Even if you're not doing your business on the toilet, but you're in that quiet space for 5 minutes, right? Away from kids, away from the world for that 5 minutes. You're actually in your own thoughts. Do you know what I mean? You're actually doing a bit of meditation in that same way. It is switching off for that moment and maybe just trying to actually focus on what's going on in your mind. You know, I do that when I'm driving. If I'm driving a long distance somewhere and I need to focus on my thought process, that's a form of meditation even while driving. You know, it doesn't have to be sitting there in Zen mode and switched off and your house is burning down, but it's learning to really connect with yourself. Do you know what I mean? Sorry, now I'm rambling.
So
on another note, where we're going with this, because we're talking about the crazy things going on with the latest news. I don't know if we should start talking about that now.
I do really want to talk about that, but I also really want to talk just quickly about the eclipse.
Yes.
Because you touched on it very, very briefly. But I wanted to ask you and, you know, the guys in the chat how the eclipse, you know, affected.
Honestly, I'm laughing now because I got my friend Darrell. So if he does watch this, because he's got a YouTube channel as well, he sent me a photo from not photo, the, what do you call it? The like little memes through Facebook, and it was from what do you call it? Vampire Diaries and the originals. And you know when like the witches start putting like that, they do the spell to stop the vampires and they start screaming and they do that, that reaction. This thing. I don't know if it's gonna come up. They do that and they're like screaming.
Yes.
Right. So he sends me that and he goes, that eclipse had the American mystics like, and it's like all of those things that people are just doing. So I'm laughing because I'm thinking everyone was reacting, oh my God, the eclipse, the eclipse. I'm here, I'm going, it feels the same to me. Nothing really was different. Honestly, like I didn't feel like there was any sort of weird alignment. I didn't feel, I don't know. I didn't have anything really out of the ordinary happen. Not for me.
No, look, I'll admit, and it probably is a little bit different for us in Australia. But one thing that I noticed was it around that time was when I had, you know, a moment of, you know, divine inspiration of when I wanted to. I've been having really strong kind of urges for, I shouldn't really call them urges. Desires is probably not much better. Um, I was having feelings of wanting to do more for myself.
Yep.
In terms of looking after myself better, wanting to go do some Reiki or wanting to go have a massage, do some retail therapy. So I don't know whether those feelings, and they were quite intense feelings as well. So I don't know whether they were because of the eclipse or because of something else. But I did have a moment of like inspiration or a shift within me for wanting to kind of look after myself a little bit better.
Yeah, I think I had a little bit of that myself. Now I think about a little bit. That's when it started. I noticed a bit of that internal shift.
Yeah, it was more of an internal thing for me. I didn't really feel anything external.
Yeah, definitely was that. Yeah, I think it's more of a self-awareness and a self-appreciation and that sort of energy. I also found. I know a lot of people went crazy. That was a thing that happened around me. Like it was like almost like you would have on a full moon. It was that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But generally, like, I think it was more about the self-care, self-acknowledgement.
Mm.
I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think back. When was it? It was last week, wasn't it? A week before?
Yeah, last week or the week before.
It's honestly, I mean, I think at the same time I was in the process of
everything.
I mean, I've been moving, so I mean, I noticed like with myself, I think it was more about wanting to change parts of how I like manage stress. Like again, it was more of the internal stuff than it was the external.
Yeah. And I think because it can be very different. I think sometimes when those types of things happen, when we do have big, astrological events and shifts and alignments and whatever else, I think you can feel it. Well, I can, I can feel it in the physical sense. Of things happening around me. But this time for the eclipse, I didn't. I felt it more on the internal shift rather than the external shift. But maybe that's just because I'm not even sure. Did any part of the Southern Hemisphere see this eclipse or not?
No. It was cloudy. I remember that day. It was very cloudy. Couldn't see shit.
No, but it would have happened when we were asleep in bed at nighttime.
Pretty much.
So maybe because it was, obviously maybe, and I would love to know from some of our Northern Hemispherical friends, Ravenflower was buzzing all day. If anybody else in the North could feel the external rather than the internal, and maybe it's because we are in the South that we almost had like an opposite effect.
Like I said, I just thought nothing really happened, or for me anyways, I didn't really notice too much. Just it wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Honestly, when I think about it, it was not a thing. So like it was a thing.
It's an interesting kind of idea that maybe, because we are down here and we're experiencing it in our nighttime. No, Juniper, I don't think we wouldn't have seen it. Like our moon would have had to have been, I don't know. It really confuses me sometimes. But yeah, I feel like maybe for us it was more of an internal shift rather than an external. But yeah, interesting.
So on the same topic of what we were saying before, because I think we should start talking about that part now.
So guys, now we're going to move into the controversy that I'm pretty sure everyone
ridiculous scandal
in our community is talking about. I don't think we should name names.
Yeah, no,
Um,
that's not. But
no, but
there
I feel like we all know who we're talking about.
is a
And
particular author slash practitioner of a well, was a
just give
practitioner.
like a thumbs up or like a yes or a smiley face. Um,
Yes, Matt's got it. You know exactly who we're talking about.
yeah,
Um,
Matt's got it.
yes. So there's this thing going on at the moment where this person has
And
basically
influential person in the New Age witchy
movement
pagan community.
has decided to renounce basically the work that was created. And I'm shocked and disappointed at the same time, as I know you are, because this person, and when you see, everyone's going, yes, this person who has created such, or has been so influential in, I think, just about everyone's lives at some point, uh, has just completely just gone the opposite end of the spectrum and
Mm,
is basically removing the energetic footprint, because it is an energetic footprint of what was created,
hmm
um, and has basically just denounced everything. Well, to an extent, some items that were carried or created. Um, I'm honestly disgusted. Karina, I know exactly what you're talking about as well. I'm actually surprised that that's actually in that too, because that's a weird thing. That was never a thing either. Um, but I'm sort of shocked because this person had the largest, well, probably one of the largest followings, has now just really just changed the whole
mm,
thing.
mm. I think it comes. See, she's always been quite a um, as Juniper saying, one eyebrow raised type of situation.
Mm-hmm. What's happened
You know,
is literally what I'm saying. We've both said this.
yeah, yeah.
What has actually
I
happened?
feel like I feel like she's always been a point of conversation. She's always been a talking point
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of people in our community, and I feel like we've got a lot of people in the community that either love her work or strongly despise her work, and some people who are in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because she did have a very um, almost fluffy way of the world,
Mm-hmm.
um, and didn't really like to acknowledge a lot of the darker aspects of reality. But when I say reality, I mean reality is subjective. To her, for her, her reality obviously didn't include any of the darker or the lower energies that some of us, like yourself and myself and a few others in the chat, know
Mm-hmm.
and have worked with and experienced before. And I think a lot of people with her thought that she was quite unbalanced in that sense because she didn't have an appreciation for the light and the dark.
Yeah.
It was all about the light, which is like, there's nothing wrong with that. I think for me, like that's not for me. I think, and I know you're the same, where you need to have an appreciation and a respect and a balance between the light and the dark in everything, and it's natural. I think it's almost a little bit unnatural to have an unbalance because without the light you can't have the dark and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she's always been a little bit of a controversial topic because of that. And now that she has done this and in such a radical, she's done it in a radical way. She really has. Before we came on tonight, we were having a long discussion about it, and Michael's mum got involved on the discussion, and there's ways of going about it. And she's definitely taken the most ridiculous and attention-seeking way as well, I think. You know, if she really, you know, if she was going to do it in a tasteful way, I suggested, you know, perhaps she, you know, officially retire, and perhaps, you know, just let everyone know in a respectful way, this is my last year of, you know, of my things, you know, on the press. This is my last year of printing. I'm going to be, you know, reducing my, you know, products, because I know that she's keeping some of the decks and things going, but majority of them, I believe, she is removing off the press.
Yes.
So, you know, I think that if she had gone about it that way and said that she was retiring, you know, giving everyone a time frame, this is the last year that I'll be doing this, and then, you know, going on her merry way to, you know, do what she wants to do in terms of, you know, the new direction that she's moving in, out of the public eye, I think would have been a much better, a much tasteful, and a lot less of a controversial way of going about it.
No, I definitely agree with you on that, because I when I found out this first bit of information, this is thanks to you, Matt, because I know you're listening in, I was just going, what? What do you mean? Because I think, you know, it's just seeing somebody who created such beautiful decks. Like, some of them are really beautiful,
Absolutely,
and some of them I may not resonate with. But some of them, like, I still use to this day. Like, I use a particular one that I find is less intimidating for a few people that want clarity on a situation. You know, I'm just sitting there going, why would you do it that way? You know, why wouldn't you do it the way you've just explained? Why would you just all of a sudden flip, like, from one extreme to the other? And for somebody who's created such a large following, and I think has got a lot of reverence behind all of the work that was created, all of a sudden you've just gone, nah, this is the way it's going to happen. This is where I'm going now. This is the only way. And all of the rest of that work now is just like, that is leading you down a negative path. Yet there's so much beautiful imagery and messages with those cards that actually can help somebody. You know, I'm thinking of that, and even as Mum had said to me, she's going to have a lot of karmic backlash at some point, where you've just helped so many people on so many levels, opening up the possibility that they can connect with different beings, or connecting with different elementals, and all of a sudden it's all lower vibrational energy. And this is the only way you have to go to get to the higher vibration. I'm sorry, but that's just doesn't make sense. Second,
like I said, you know, she's gone from being, you know, such an open-minded figure to then absolutely putting the blinkers on and having tunnel vision, and now is in the way of saying and of thinking that this new way that she's found is the only way, which again isn't necessarily a bad thing. You know, obviously, you know, you do what you have to do. You know, I've experienced a very similar thing, you know, this year in terms of starting to work with Odin. You know, but it's something different than saying, you know, I completely disregard and completely denounce my whole 20 years of life, basically. You know, for me personally, you know, I'm absolutely not discounting any of my previous beliefs, or even the beliefs that I still hold, which I think is something that she has given the impression of, is that she is denouncing her last 20, 25 years of work and career and beliefs that she's held.
Yep. So says, so did these decks not seem more angelic tone? Honestly, when you look at those decks, there was nothing wrong with those decks. Absolutely, when you look at them, there was actually nothing wrong with them. she, I think she's just been caught up in something that's probably now influenced or brainwashed her to believe that now. You know, like honestly, I'm actually like absolutely speechless that this has happened. And I know that like, she believed in Christianity, even though she was making these decks, but to fully flip a switch and completely just disregard everything and only say, but I'm only keeping the angel decks, right? Come on, like what, huh? Like it doesn't make
Mm,
sense. And
mm,
we were thinking that I personally, and that was the first thing where I thought as well, that what's happened to you? What has
mm,
happened for you to all of a sudden hide or become frightened? And this is the only way it should be, you know?
mm, mm. Just to clarify for Julie and anyone else in the chat, she didn't necessarily, even though she did have her angel decks, they weren't denominational. So her angel decks, well, my interpretation anyway of her angel decks, and I've worked with a few, I work very closely with the Archangel Michael Oracle.
Mhm.
They're non-denominational. So it's not like she is saying that it is a Christian deck or it is a Catholic deck. Her view of angels and of the other beings such as elementals, the fairies, mermaids, ascended masters, I believe come from a new age place of non-denominational energy. So while she did have and does have a lot of angelic decks, I feel like her point of view and what she was trying to and I think her main aim as well of what she was trying to do with those decks, especially with the angels, was to create them in a non-denominational way. So to say that angels aren't solely for Christian belief systems, they can also be used outside of Christianity in a
Mhm.
spiritual type system something other than Christian.
Yep.
So I feel like she did take a very neutral and new age stance on angelic beings and on ascended masters and some pagan flavors as well, because while she wasn't completely Christian, she also wasn't completely pagan, which is why I say this new age stance.
Yeah.
Because while she did have the goddess Oracle,
Yep.
also had the angels. Now, while some people might think that they clash and contradict one another, because why can you have angels and then goddesses, or why can you have angels, goddesses, and ascended masters? I don't think that she was coming from a place of a religion,
Yeah.
if that makes sense to you, Julie. I feel like that she was coming from more of a neutral spiritual stance rather than a religious stance. So for me, what I'm personally struggling is with, now that she has taken a religious stance, she now thinks that everything else can be disregarded.
Mm-hmm. Native Witch has made a point. Whoever she is, I'm sure the goddess is leading her to new lessons. It must be crucial for her to go into this new journey, I guess. Honestly, it must be. This must be a journey she must walk. You know, I mean, just to me, it's like saying that with me, doing Earthly Alchemy and the things that I create, like I could just turn and say one day, oh my God, I'm never going to run the business ever again. The witch's chest I create, I'm disregarding the last 12 months, and be like, my art creations that I've created as well and things like that are leading me down this path, and just completely just sever all that journey that I've walked
Mm,
and mess up everything. Do you know what I mean? Where I've helped so many people on so many levels. It's just bizarre that somebody has just flipped a switch over the last year and just all of a sudden, no, 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 don't do that anymore. I'm not printing this anymore. This is happening, and this being is not an ascended master. He is the only way, and we all know who we're talking about. JC, obviously. You know, it's really bizarre, and for somebody that, like I said, who is very, you know, is intelligent and creating, or, you know, one of the key faces in the New Age movement, we'll call it, has just basically lost it. I'm going to say lost it, you know. I'm still shocked. You know, and people think, oh, you know, it wouldn't surprise me. I'm actually shocked because it's bizarre to me that somebody's just flipped it like that. It honestly is. Like, you can't. I don't see it as an overnight thing. This must have been like a build up over the last year.
Mm.
And it is. And I think, you know, why go about it that way? Why put it up on social media in the larger scale where you know you have a massive following that will everything you say they will jump at. You know what I mean?
That's one thing that I really struggled with, and especially like what Maddie said is, you know, the extreme way that she did it, the extreme and very public way that she did it when she does have such a strong following. I think it's also a little bit unfair. I think it's unfair on a lot of the people who, you know, were following her really closely and, you know, were buying all of her decks and attending her courses and getting her qualifications. And then for her to kind of turn around, I think, honestly, it's a little bit of a slap in the face.
Yes, it is.
You know, I think it would have been a lot smarter, a lot more tasteful, and a lot more respectful for her to not necessarily put it out there in the public like the way she did. And, you know, simply just retire and move on with her life in the way that she wants to, without, you know, causing such a controversy, because she is a public figure and because she is so, you know, influential, she has a duty of care.
But as Karina's,
and I think, I mean, all of us, even all of us on YouTube here, you know, we have you guys, we have subscribers, we have people who watch us. And yes, sometimes people do take exactly what we say word for word. And that's why, you know, we're all sitting here every time we say something. It's just for me. It doesn't have to be for you. It's just for me. You watch any pagan witcher YouTuber on YouTube, the amount of times that we have to say that, because people do unfortunately take things literally. And it is unfortunate because we're not having a one-on-one conversation as often as we are right now. Some people do, unfortunately, you know, make it their own. And, you know, obviously everyone takes away something from people's videos and what people are saying differently. And sometimes people can take things quite literally. So we, you know, as YouTubers, well, I myself think that, you know, I have a duty of care to my subscribers, to the people who are watching me, especially minors, you know, and things like that. And that's why sometimes you do have to be careful what you say and how you say it and how you present the information that you want to present. So I feel like she's definitely, sorry, I keep cutting you off.
That's right. But no, you're right.
I just feel like she's neglected that a little bit.
She has. And I mean, look, and as Karina said, it is a ripple. It's going to cause a ripple, and it already has caused a ripple. You know, for anyone that believes in like laws of attraction and you know, that energetically we are all connected in some way, that causing, you know, if whether some people believe in karma or not, you know, causing that ripple effect in the universe, it's going to affect on a massive scale. So, you know, even us talking about it now, and you guys all know what we're talking about, and you guys are going, "What? Yeah, I don't understand what the hell's going on." That's a ripple. You know, that's going. Hold on a second. This person was one of the, you know, creators of something that has helped so many people on a larger scale through any situation, through anything in their darkest times. You know, and all of a sudden you've just undid all of your work to an extent where you've now caused this ripple that all your followers are now going, well, I'm not going to support you now. Or some of them will be like, yeah, that's great, I'll support you and follow you. She will have this thing now, it's going to cause this massive unbalance, you know, of the scales, we'll call it. And you know, same thing, like as YouTubers, we are just normal people at the end of the day. This is who we are every day. We don't put on a fake smile. We don't put on, you know, a fake show, but we do monitor what we say. We do monitor what we, you know, how we respond, because it is important that people do sometimes take everything, like saying they take everything we say with literally, but they have to take it with a grain of salt. Even, you know, I've had a few people that recognize me from YouTube, and they're like, "Oh, you know, you said this." Well, that's right, but again, that's not the way that it should be. And like we would say, it's on our own path, not yours. You make it your own. You walk it your own.
Mm.
So it's just, I think this is why, and this is why we're talking about this topic. There are a few faces in the public eye that are representing the community that I may not agree with, but I think we're coming to a new era at the moment where we can change the way that people view the community. And even if we're not at that same status as a few of them that are out there, you know, we can slowly make a difference to who's around our vicinity, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
You know, because there are some people in the community that I don't, you know, that I may not agree with, and it's not about YouTube land. This is off YouTube land now. This is actual communities around here in Australia. That some of the faces may seem all okay when the cameras are on, but off camera they're not. You know, they're completely different, and I think we need to change that, and we need to bring in new faces, new energy, and also be able to help people with not just making a quick buck either. You know, giving some advice or giving some, you know, some time like this to help. It's just, it's yeah. There's a lot of things that are going on that people do not see behind, you know, off YouTube land and behind closed doors. There is a lot more going on. And, you know, this is just one of the situations we're talking about where this person has actually publicly come out and done that. It's basically just undoing your whole career. Like, to me, you know, I'm still like gobsmacked. You know, everyone's like, it's just bizarre to me that somebody has created 20 years of work and it's just thrown half of it down the toilet.
I mean, and going back, you know, it's not necessarily, you know, her beliefs or the new direction that she's taken. It's how she's decided to go about that. Because obviously absolutely everyone on this planet, everyone in this chat is obviously entitled to their own beliefs and opinions. Based on, and, you know, for example, this is just our opinion tonight, you know.
And again, so, don't take us literally either, as in say with a grain of salt.
So it's not necessarily, you know, her beliefs. You know, if she wants to, you know, move into a Christian direction, that's obviously absolutely okay, because everyone is entitled to do that if they so please. Just as, you know, Christians are able to you know, move into, you know, Wicca or paganism or other religions, Buddhism, things like that. It's just the way that she's gone about it, which is something that and I think most people are having a problem with. Julie, I think the reason why Julie's just asked, so why is she continuing with her angel card readings? And I think what she's done, I think the way that she's going is because she did have a spiritual stance on angels and these elementals and fairies and mermaids and ascended masters and goddesses and all the rest. I think now that she has moved into a Christian path, she's brought the angels with her. And I don't think that the fairy and the mermaids and the ascended masters and the goddesses necessarily fit with her new direction, but I feel like she's able to bring and adapt the angels that she's previously worked with into her Christian path, which is fair enough, because I have done the same in the reverse. You know, I've brought angels into my witchcraft, you know, into my witchcraft, you know, into my craft, and she seems to be taking the angels back with her to the Christian side, which, you know, again, there is nothing wrong with. And I'm not even sure if that's the actual case. That's just, I think that's how I can rationalize it. So if anybody knows in the chat, definitely, you know, let us know. But I think that's where she is, that's where she's going with that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it's definitely the topic of a lot of people's conversation, I think, and I think it will be for a little while, as everything kind of pans out in terms of what is staying on print and what's, you know, leaving print in the coming months.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's a lot of content. There's a lot of content out there that she has that, like you said, you know, has changed people's lives and has, you know, allowed people to self-help and to, you know, help others. You know, for example, I mean, on House of Tarot, I offer an Archangel Michael card reading with her cards. You know, with her cards. I almost slipped up there, you guys. You know, and I will continue to, you know, provide that service because, you know, for me, those cards allow me a better connection to Archangel Michael, and a lot of other people. You know, a lot of her cards have, you know, allowed people to secure, you know, connections not only with their higher selves, but with the different spirits, entities, or, you know, divine energies that, you know, the cards actually do depict.
Yeah.
Like in the Goddess Oracle. So I don't necessarily think that, you know, obviously contrary to her beliefs, I don't necessarily think that, you know, it should discount, you know, some of the work that she's done, because at the end of the day, you know, true, she's produced the card, but you have your own relationship with the cards and with how you work with the cards, and you know, how you work with who is depicted in the cards, if that makes sense as well. So I don't necessarily think that it does have to discount her work, contrary to her beliefs. But I'm gonna keep using my Archangel Michael cards.
And that's, I mean, look, I the first deck I think I ever bought was the Goddess ones. And I love those. Like, I use those cards a lot. Like, they're still one of my favorites because they're just, there's nothing negative about them. They're very positive, and they're very. It's good to get an insight on the different types of goddesses, and not just goddesses. There were also some saints depicted in there too, from memory.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like you've just, you know, to say now that is not right is bizarre to me, because it's like you created that. You wanted to create something that had such a beautiful energy to it, and you've just made it sound like it's something negative.
Yes.
You know? And I think, you know, and I get it. That's what she's choosing to. That's her path. Let her go. Let her wander that path. Let her, you know. But don't then come back later. And this is the thing. I'll be laughing if this person decides to come back later and then say everything's all right after you've just said, well, this is all like this. Do you know what I mean? That to me, I'll be like, you know what? You should not even be doing anything anymore. Just go and stay in that organization and whatever you're doing. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. And that's why she had gone for a little bit more of a private approach.
Yeah.
I think it would have allowed for,
So,
if she did have a change of mind in the end,
yeah.
to come back from that.
Yeah. Matt says I would scream if she made a comeback. Honestly, I would scream too. I'd be like, what, really? You know, Julie, so
Mm.
since you both are knowledgeable, have you or will you do a chat on different religions and deities, gods, etc. have come from them? That would
I
help.
think that would be really fun. I think we could, maybe we'll schedule that for next week.
Yeah, we can definitely do some discussion on that because I mean,
Mm.
that's like,
So stay tuned, Julie, whether it happens on my channel or on Elder's channel. I think that would be a fun chat. Whip out some of the old books.
oh, there's a
Um,
lot of information. Like, I don't even know where to start. It's just it's endless. You can't, you know, because then you go into the topics of like angels and fallen angels and all of that sort of stuff. Hold on a second, Jason. The new
that's right.
from Craven gonna pick me up. Huh? Don't know what language that was. You know, so it there is so many like discussions and chats and I love talking about this topic because you know a lot of people are afraid to actually discuss well what else is in our existence and
Mm,
what else is on this, you know, there's more to than just getting up in the morning, going to work, cooking, eating, going to the toilet, living a daily life, and then going to bed, and then, you know, connecting with spirit on whatever else in between all that. You know, there
mm,
is more to life than that. There is more than just, uh, you know, connecting with different beings and understanding different traditions and cultures and
mm,
religions. And
mm. I
you
think
know,
so.
I think that um, it's good to understand that there is a mixed amount of energies in the world or the universe. I'm going to
Mm,
classify it as universe.
mm. I think so too.
I
So,
think it's
Julie, if you had anything in particular that you wanted us to discuss, any particular pantheons or deities or anything after this chat, after this video has been uploaded, it usually takes a couple of minutes after we finish the live stream. So after it's uploaded, you're more than welcome to leave them in the comments. That way I can come back to them at a later stage and we can have a look at them next week and have a chat about them. So yeah, anything in particular, and that goes for anyone in the chat as well. If you've got anything that you'd like us to talk about in future, let us know in the comments below after this video has uploaded, and we can then have a good place so they don't get lost. Because this, I'm not sure if you know, Julie, but this live chat here gets lost after this, so I wouldn't want to lose your questions or specific requests for that chat. But I think it will be fun to do.
it'd definitely be fun because you know we can talk about not just you know mythologies and gods and goddesses, but you know different religions, different even magical practices as well. Because that was a thing where you know a lot of people either follow just Wicca or witchcraft, but then you know there are so many different traditions and magical practices out there that it could be just on the same par as what religion would be. Like there is just so many.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and you know, I mean, obviously, people that have been following us for ages know that we're eclectic pretty much in our practice. We're eclectic, which is, you know, used to follow Wicca. I don't really follow Wicca, but I incorporated maybe circle casting in my practice because that is very important to sort of create sacred space. You know, I do believe in not harming anyone. That's not a thing for me. So, you know, I wouldn't be cursing people, but I'm all about, you know, prevention and protection and and understanding that energy. But you know, as you sort of grow and develop and your soul develops, you sort of be like, well, no, there's more to them than this little inner ring at the moment. Let's get out
Yeah.
of that comfort zone.
Yeah.
Let's get to understand that more. And you know, and I think, especially because I mean, I and as everyone knows, I do more ceremonial magic too. So it's connection with angels and understanding about those energies that exist in the universe. There's more to life. You know, there's more beings out there than we can comprehend. And I think, you know, it's good to experience and I think really look into different traditions and see that everyone is very much similar, but also at the same time, you know, there is so all the traditions are similar, but everyone seems to be very segregated into whose is better. When in actual fact, I think we can all tend to work together. You know, there was a really nice quote in Fiona Horn's new book, The Naked Witch, that I've read, and I don't know if I've read it before on the channel. I don't think I have. And it was a really beautiful message she had. I'll tell you now, I've got it here. It was a message that she received from Spirit where she was doing the Mad House TV series, and she was doing meditations every day. She'd go away and do her thing, and she would receive insight, and she'd go back and she'd tell the other members of the household what she received. And there was this really nice thing that she put that was actually taken off the TV show. It was never aired, but she actually released it in the book.
Yeah.
And I'll read it to you because it was actually it hit a spot when she said that. I was like, that makes a lot of sense, and it just gives you all of this clarity about how the universe is.
Yeah.
Let me find it because I know I read it and I just went, oh my god. Where are we? Mad House. Sorry, I'm just trying to find it. There's that. FFX. Hold on. Oh, where is it?
I don't know if you guys can see, but if you're all wondering what I'm playing with this big marble hunk
Was
of
that from
rock.
Kmart?
Absolutely, it was.
I used to remember though. Jason bought one of the big, weird shaped ones, and
Oh, really?
yeah.
I usually just use it as a paperweight, but I'm set up on my desk at the minute, so I'm just playing with it.
The marble's good. It's good for protection magic. So.
Well, this is I cleansed it and blessed it, and I often will use it for grounding as well. Because it is actually so physically heavy. It's actually really a good kind of focal point because it actually has some weight behind it to actually help ground.
So
anyway, have you found the quote?
I found it. So she explains that she had a profound experience during meditation where she was walking along and she sat down and she was looking at LA, so the city and where she was sitting in that house. And she says this. So suddenly a hawk flew into my vision and landed in front of me on the stone wall barely 2 feet away. And then it spoke to me. Fiona, look at all the trees in the garden. The hawk had a masculine voice that sounded like a Christian father god, as I had imagined in like my childhood. I turned my head to look at all the trees, a swathe of green, brown, and grey tones surrounding me. Do you see that the trees are different yet all the same? An oak tree, a jacaranda tree, all different yet all united. I nodded. The hawk continued. A tree's survival depends on its diversity. If every tree was exactly the same, it would die. I nodded again, that I understood. So it is with my love, said the hawk. My survival depends on the diversity of my love. Every spiritual path is an instrument, and when these instruments are played together, they become a symphony of the soul. and that is my voice, the voice of God. A wave of comprehension washed over me. God's voice depended on the diversity of expression.
Mm.
The hawk tilted its head and said to me, "Go back and share this with the others." Now that, when I read that, I was like, that's absolutely beautiful, the message
Mm.
that she received. Now, the depiction, and when you listen to that, I was like, oh my God, it's not about which is the right path. It's
Mm.
about understanding and working together as, in the existence of we're humans.
Yeah.
And when I read that, I was like, oh my God, like that, it still gives me chills every time I read that. I'm like,
Mm.
that to me is that is the connection of like God and the way we connect with spirit. It's not about
Yeah.
what's a better religion, what's right or wrong. It's,
Yeah.
hey, let's all actually understand and work together, be diverse and not the boring same old, human being, and I think the world would be very boring if everyone was the same. If anyone's seen the movie Gattaca, go watch that. Like, that's the world that is boring. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And it's just to see that somebody who's a Wiccan or a practitioner that has that experience where connecting with basically nature and having the hawk come to her and pass on that message.
Yeah.
That to me goes to show it doesn't matter what religious whatever it is. It's about actually connecting with the soul and spirit.
Yeah.
This is relevant because when you think about it, like what we're just talking about, somebody has gone on a completely different tangent, basically narrowing her mind to say this is the only way to get to this place. When in actual fact, if someone had the right religion or the right practice, don't you think everybody would be following that tradition?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
So, sorry, there's more comments going on in the thing at the same time while I'm talking. So when I read that, or when I read that, I was like, that's beautiful. Why was that not aired on television? Why was that taken out from why did the writers decide to remove that? Like, why? Like, that's a key indicator of what life should be about, and it's been removed. So when she wrote that in that book, I was like, holy shit, she's exposing a lot more stuff that was not that's never been seen. A lot of other stuff too when you read through it. But
Yeah.
when I read it, I was like, well, that makes more sense. When you watch the actual show, you see the show was getting along. Everyone was really harmonious with each other. And the writers then said, hey, you need to stir up some shit, which she had to because she was asked to. So
Yeah.
she caused a ripple in the house. But at the same time, she received that message, but she
Yeah.
wasn't allowed to put that, air that. And I'm like, well, that's bull crap,
Yeah.
So again, and it's relevant. I think we need to just, really work together on this. And like I said, we need to be a new voice. I personally believe we need to be more of the new faces, the new voice in the communities, because that isn't existing at the moment. I haven't seen it. Very rarely have I seen it exist, and it's only existing here in our YouTube community, but
Yeah.
not in the actual physical worlds, like outside of this land.
Yeah. It's true.
I'm seeing things about hippie and Woodstock. What's going on?
Oh. No, I 100% agree, and that's actually, yeah, that's a really, it's a what I imagine to be like a really moving vision that she had. So, wow, that's pretty awesome.
Myself.
Oh well, you guys, what's the time here? So it's 20 past 11.
How long have we been speaking?
It's
2 hours. 12.
Yeah, I think so, roughly.
My God.
Standard. But no, really, really good. A really good chat. So good to actually have a live chat after so long. I reckon it's been probably 2 or 3 months since our last live
It
chat.
has. I looked at my thing and I went, oh my God, that was like far out. It's
A
we
long time
had
ago.
winter,
Yeah.
we had Yule, everyone went to hibernation. Everyone
Yes.
literally went, I think the shit hit the fan everywhere, and then all of a sudden now everyone's like, I think slowly now trying to come back out, which is spring, which is great. So
I mean, it's just it's the natural cycle, you know. As the weather is starting to, you know, come into spring and we're starting to feel that, you know, seasonal shift again, we're all coming back out of the woodwork, which is good. I'm excited.
Juniper, I've missed you too. I've missed everyone's face. Like it's just been a
Yeah.
thing. I know it myself. I wanted to get back online in the last 3 weeks, and I had no net. So
Yeah. Oh well.
things. So now
Oh well. Now you do now. And next week we can schedule our deity chat. And that would be awesome. Hopefully, maybe we could even get Vanna and or Alvine.
That'd be great, actually.
In on that. I think that would be really cool to have some extra opinions and perspectives. So always good, and always good to catch up with our southern witches.
Yes.
But
I know. So who was it? Someone thought that we were in America, and I'm like, no, we're in the South, like Australia.
Yes.
Town. Like, that's where we are.
Uh-huh. I mean, I thought you could tell from our accents, but you know, maybe not.
Maybe we need to be a little bit more bogan. I don't know.
Yeah, a little bit more bargain. Yeah.
Yeah. We should try that.
Yeah. Oh well, thank you so much for coming on to my channel tonight. A little bit last minute.
No, it wasn't.
But
Trust me, I was literally doing stuff, and then I saw your live pop, and I'm like, oh, I'll listen in. Like, I haven't heard you guys for ages. I've got internet now. And then you're like, oh, we're doing a chat. Yes, let's do it. Why not?
Absolutely. Well, it's a good chat. It's good to catch up with everybody in the chat. So thank you, everyone in the chat who's, you know, come in and out, and, you know, some awesome conversation and, you know, awesome, fabulous, like, stuff. So looking forward to next week. Looking forward to getting back into it with you guys. And, yeah, so much love.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Good night, good morning, good afternoon. Bye, everyone.